El Salvador, a small nation in Central America, has been grappling with gang violence for decades. The Mara gangs, notorious for their brutality, have held sway over communities, extorting businesses and terrorizing citizens. In a bid to crush these criminal networks, the government, under the leadership of President Nayib Bukele, has taken an unprecedented step: the construction of the largest prison in the world. This behemoth of concrete and steel, the Terrorism Confinement Center, stands as a symbol of Bukele's iron-fisted approach to tackling crime. But is it a solution or a Pandora's box? This mega prison isn't just a place of confinement, it's a statement. It's a physical manifestation of Bukele's unwavering commitment to dismantling the gangs that have plagued his nation for far too long. The sheer scale of the project is staggering, a testament to the government's resolve to break the back of organized crime. But the question remains, at what cost? The prison, inaugurated in 2022, is designed to house over 40,000 inmates, primarily members of the notorious MS-13 and Barrio 18 gangs. It's a place where hope goes to die, a concrete jungle designed to isolate and punish. But beyond the razor wire and watchtowers lies a complex reality, one that raises profound questions about human rights, the effectiveness of mass incarceration, and the very nature of justice itself. The Sicotte prison, located in a remote area of El Salvador, is a fortress designed to prevent any possibility of escape or communication with the outside world. The construction itself is a marvel of modern engineering, albeit one dedicated to a grim purpose. The facility sprawls over 410 acres, an expanse of concrete and steel ringed by imposing walls. Security at Sicotte is nothing short of draconian. The outer perimeter is a formidable barrier consisting of a 9-meter-high wall reinforced with steel. This imposing structure is further fortified with layers of razor wire and a lethal 15,000-volt electric fence. Armed guards stationed in strategically positioned watchtowers maintain a constant vigil, their watchful eyes scanning the perimeter for any sign of trouble. But the security measures extend far beyond the physical barriers. Inside the prison walls, technology plays a crucial role in maintaining order and control. Advanced surveillance systems monitor every corner of the facility, leaving no space unobserved. Powerful signal jammers block all forms of outside communication, cutting off inmates from the outside world. Every aspect of the prison's design, from the impenetrable walls to the omnipresent surveillance, is geared towards one goal: absolute control. The message is clear. This is a place of punishment, not rehabilitation. The inmates, stripped of their identities and autonomy, are reduced to mere numbers in a system designed to break them. For the inmates incarcerated within Sicotte's walls, life is one of harsh deprivation and relentless routine. Gone are the colors and chaos of the outside world, replaced by the stark monotony of concrete and steel. The air hums with tension, a palpable sense of despair hanging heavy in the air. The inmates, stripped of their individuality, are issued identical white uniforms, their heads shaved, their bodies marked with the indelible tattoos of their former gang affiliations. They are housed in cramped cells, often packed beyond capacity, with only basic amenities: a metal bunk, a toilet, and little else. Privacy is a luxury they can no longer afford. Their days are governed by a rigid schedule, a monotonous cycle of meals, work duty, and limited exercise. The food, while adequate to sustain life, is bland and monotonous, offering little in the way of variety or flavor. Their movements are constantly monitored, their actions scrutinized, for any sign of defiance or disobedience. The psychological toll of such an environment is immeasurable. The lack of privacy, the constant surveillance, the absence of meaningful human interaction all contribute to an atmosphere of profound despair. The prison, designed to break the spirit, takes its toll on the very essence of what it means to be human. Section 4. The Iron Fist, Bukele's War on Gangs. The construction of Sicotte and the mass incarceration of suspected gang members are central to President Nayib Bukele's controversial Plan Control Territorial. This ambitious and aggressive strategy aims to eradicate gang violence and restore order to a nation plagued by lawlessness. Bukele, a charismatic and tech-savvy leader, rose to power on a wave of popular support, promising to tackle the gang problem that had plagued El Salvador for generations. His approach has been nothing short of radical, employing a combination of hardline policies, social media savvy, and a disregard for traditional human rights norms. The crackdown began in March 2022 with the declaration of a state of emergency. This granted the government sweeping powers, including the ability to make arrests without warrants and restrict freedom of assembly. Security forces, bolstered by increased funding and equipment, launched a series of massive raids, rounding up tens of thousands of suspected gang members and alleged collaborators. Bukele, a master of social media, has used platforms like Twitter to bypass traditional media outlets and communicate directly with the public. He regularly posts images and videos of captured gang members, often displaying them in humiliating poses, their faces contorted in fear or resignation. His message is clear: surrender or face the consequences. Section 5, numbers don't lie. Impact on crime statistics. The impact of Bukele's crackdown on crime rates in El Salvador is undeniable, at least on the surface. Homicide rates, once among the highest in the world, have plummeted since the implementation of Plan Control Territorial. In 2022, the country recorded a homicide rate of 7.8 per 100,000 inhabitants, a dramatic decrease from the 50.3 per 100,000 recorded in 2015. These statistics have been touted by Bukele and his supporters as proof of the effectiveness of his methods. They argue that the drastic reduction in violence justifies the extraordinary measures taken, that the ends justify the means. The government credits the mass arrests, the increased police presence, and the construction of mega-prisons like Sikot with restoring a sense of security to the country. The streets, once terrorized by gang members, are now patrolled by heavily armed soldiers and police officers. The public displays of violence that once plagued communities have largely disappeared, replaced by a tense calm. Businesses that once lived under the constant threat of extortion now operate with a newfound sense of security. But beneath the surface of these seemingly positive statistics lies a more complex reality. Critics argue that the government's focus on brute force tactics has come at the expense of long-term solutions, such as addressing the root causes of gang violence, poverty, inequality, and a lack of opportunities. Section 6 whispers behind bars allegations of human rights abuses. While the government celebrates the drop in crime rates, human rights organizations and international observers have raised serious concerns about the methods employed in El Salvador's war on gangs. The mass arrests, often conducted without proper due process, have swept up thousands of innocent people, including children caught in the dragnet of Bukele's crackdown. Reports of abuse and torture within the prison walls have also surfaced, painting a grim picture of life inside Sikot. Inmates speak of beatings, starvation, and psychological torment at the hands of guards. The lack of access to adequate medical care, legal representation, and family visits has exacerbated the already dire conditions. The government has dismissed these allegations as enemy propaganda, claiming that they are spread by gang members seeking to undermine the state's efforts. However, the sheer volume of reports, coupled with the government's reluctance to allow independent monitoring of its prisons, has fueled concerns that serious human rights violations are taking place. The United Nations and other international bodies have urged the Salvadoran government to uphold its human rights obligations and ensure that all detainees are treated with dignity and afforded due process. However, these pleas have largely fallen on deaf ears as Bukele remains defiant, accusing his critics of siding with criminals over law-abiding citizens.